notes. We got to talk about frequency distributions. We started this on Friday. If you missed Friday, this stuff is in the Google Classroom. Da, da, da. Okay. Okay. So you're one of the, let's see. One of the displays of data that you are required to be able to do is a histogram. It's on your final exam. We're learning it today, kind of. We have to learn the first step today. The first step is making that frequency distribution table, and you're at this place in math learning where you get to make more decisions and or do more calculations before it's just handed to you to create. Okay, so I mentioned last class that we're going to be talking about intervals or classes. So let's first of all just learn how to read a frequency distribution. So here are our classes. Another name for class is interval. These guys are synonymous. We call them classes at higher level statistics. I'm sorry, we're growing up. It's terrible. Okay, so let's just ask some questions here before we get to it. How many classes or intervals are there? 6. There are 6 classes. AKA intervals. Now, when we talk about how wide a class is, it's like how many pieces of data, what numbers can go in there. So if you use subtraction, what's 5 minus 1? 4, right? But if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, how wide is my class? 5. Okay? So subtraction of the interval doesn't work. Do you know what does work? What's the difference between 1 and 6? Do you guys see the add 5 here? Same thing here. What do you do to 5 to get 10? Add 5, right? So our class width is 5. So, and maybe you would put in here not 5 minus 1, which equals 4. Okay? A couple other things. Do you notice how the number 5 is here and the number 6 is here, right? Our intervals cannot overlap. Okay, so that's just something that you need to know about classes or intervals. Okay, so now we're going to go back up here because this was just all about the classes. How many pieces of data are represented in this table? We got to look at the frequency, right? So there's 5 in this class, there's 8 in this class. How do I find my total number of pieces of data? I add them up, right? Because like this is how tall the bars are going to be. Do you guys agree? Do you see the connection between that and our warm-up? Okay, so let's add that up. We got 4 plus 8. Okay, there's 10, 26, and another 10. I got 36. Does anybody else get 36? Yep. Yes, great. So there's 36 pieces of data. Which means if I wrote it like more statistically, it would be n equals 36. Does that make sense? 36 pieces of data. Do we know what the original data was anymore? Do we know what the exact lowest number is or the exact highest number is? No. Like the thing is, there like between 16 and 20, there's 8 pieces of data. They could all be 17s. We don't know anymore. So we can't actually, from here, we can't find the exact mean, right? We can't find the exact median because we no longer have the data, okay? So we're on page 9 in our note packet. We do not know, so do we know No. We just know, we know like a kind of, we know the range. We could kind of estimate a mean and a median, but we don't know exact anymore. We can estimate summary statistics. Oops. And those summary statistics might be the mean, which is X bar. We might be able to summarize the median or guesstimate it. We might be able to figure out an approximate range. But once again, it would not be exact. It would be an estimate. Okay. All right. So now if you need to make a frequency distribution, and this is the scale you guys need to learn today, this is what we have to do. We have to decide on the number of classes. So this goes down to how many bars you want. So if you remember in the video, there was the one she was doing about traffic data in Boston, right? Having only 6 bars wasn't helpful enough, but having a bar for every hour showed the peaks in the traffic. Having bars for every 5 minutes was too many bars, okay? So here it talks about having between 5 and 20 bars. Otherwise, it may be difficult to detect the patterns. Now, honestly, this is where the majority of the time I'm going to tell you how many intervals you're going to need, right? So I'm not giving you that decision making yet. But when you have a chance to pull your own data and do something like a bigger project, yes, you get to make more decisions. Yeesh. All right. Okay, then we have to find the class width. So this is a calculation that will be on your reference sheet, which I will give you the reference sheet on Wednesday. I need to remember to do that. Reference sheet. So it says determine the range. And then you're going to divide by the number of classes. So range divided by number of classes, number of intervals. And then this is the most important thing. You round up to the next convenient number. So even if you get a whole number as your answer when you divide, you still round up. Otherwise, you can't fit all the data pieces in. That's the hardest part, because then we take this information and we make our intervals, and that's what it's explaining in here. So it talks about what's called class limits. That's the idea that the classes can't overlap. They all have to have the same width, and therefore we have to do some special adding, because remember 5 minus 1 is 4, and we want our class list to be 5. And then the last thing is the tallying and counting up your tallies. So this stuff is the easy stuff. This is the step that can be difficult, because we have calculations and setting up our classes to do. Okay? All right. So here we go. So here it says class width calculation. I think I just put that up above, but it never hurts to put it more than once. We're going to take that range. And how do we get the range, people? Max minus min. And then we're going to divide it by the number of classes desired or requested. And then how to do this count of the intervals or make it using the class limits we'll demonstrate on the next page. See demo, next page. All right, so when you're ready, go ahead and turn your page. I'm just checking in with you, okay? Okay. All right, so here we go. And the thing with this is we're actually not going to use the data sheet in our calculator to do this part of the work. We're going to do it by hand. And it's because we're going to be tallying in the long run, right? We don't need the pieces of data anymore. So we're going to make a tally chart. So here we have a sample data set of the prices of 30 portable GPS positioning systems. construct a frequency distribution with 7 classes. So first of all, what is a frequency distribution? It literally is just making the table. Make the table. And then I am telling you the desired number of classes. So I want you to have 7 intervals. Now, you might think that this is old news, and it kind of is old news. We now have smartphones and have Google Maps on our phones, right?
Yes.
Logan, are we behaving or misbehaving?
Me?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Left hand behaving?
Well,
Put it up. There we go. Keep it above the table. Here we go. We're writing things down. GPS. My sister actually just went to Wyoming recently and participated in collecting data in the mountains. So the thing is when I think I told you guys about that. They had the alpaca help them bring the stuff up. So they have to have actual separate GPSs. Phones don't work up there. Okay? That help them map out where they're going to go. When GPSs first came out, they were separate. They were called like TomToms and different things. You would buy them separately, and they were not cheap. And you would download your maps on your home Wi-Fi, or not even Wi-Fi, or your home network, and then you take it to your car, and it would be like a separate little computer in your car. Like now it's on your dashboard. It's like freaking fantastic, right? It talks to you. Woo! Anyways, back to this. So these are prices. First thing we want to do is calculate our class width, which means the first step, step 1, is the range. What is the range? So you got to skim your data and look for the max and the min. So let's skim what's our least expensive and most expensive guys that are out there. 59 is our minimum, and then what's our most expensive one? Is it 450? Is there one that's more than 450?
yeah.
No? Okay, 450, right? Okay, so here we go. The class width calculation is 450 minus 59 divided by the desired number of classes, 7. Okay? If you remember from last class, I had you guys practice this calculation in your calculator. Can you do it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's get an answer. Whoa. Okay, so I like to do control divide first because I'm a nerd. I go 450, subtract 59, and then I'm going to go over 7, but I want a decimal answer, so what am I going to do right now? Tuck in a decimal right here so I get this answer, right? Everybody good? So 55.8. So you're always going to write down the answer you get. However, your class width, you always round up. So what's the next number after 55.8?
56.
56. So yes, we always round up to 56. That's an up arrow. Okay? 56 is our width. Okay. So now we're going to construct our classes. Okay? And that's where they talk about doing the class limits. Okay. So you're going to want 3 columns, and I usually always give you the columns. The first one is our classes, which remember, that is the same thing as intervals. If you want to put the word intervals, that's fine, but then you need to know that when the problem says class, you're able to translate. So it's classes, And this is GPS prices, right, in dollars. We want to know what our classes represent. It's not people, quantity, it's not ages, it's not heights, it's money. Then we're going to have a tally area, and remember, that's when you're doing this. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? You guys remember how to tally? Okay, and then the last column is the one that we actually need, and the tally kind of disappears. We need the frequency, which is how many tallies you have, and we often use a lowercase f for that tally. Okay, so now how do I create the classes? This is where things get exciting. So the first class is always going to start with the minimum, right? So the first class starts with the minimum piece of data, and our minimum was 59. Now this is where you want to add on our width. What's our width? What do we get for our class width? 56. Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to add on 56. Okay. When I add on 56, I get 115. That's the beginning of the next class. So guess what? Keep on adding 56 and fill in the minimum of each class. Okay, so use your calculator, keep on adding 56, 56, 56, 56. So you're going to do all the lower bounds first. Okay. Are people ready now for the next part? Okay. So the deal is this. We have to go from 59 to something, making sure we get all the numbers, but there's no overlapping. So where do I want this bound to end if this one starts at 115? That's it, exactly it. 114. So you're always subtracting 1 from this to end that. So this is 170. Okay, so I'm going to get there. Okay. Wait, just back out 1 so you can see it a little bit better. There we go. All right. So there's a reason why I created the table exactly this length. How many classes are we supposed to have? 7. So class 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So why did I have you guys fill up to 451? Because you have to subtract 1 to get the last piece of like the end of the previous one. So this is not going to be a class. But no matter what, this is not always the max, right? Because your width might create it to be bigger because all the intervals need to be the same. So this is not always the max. It is one, like the bound, I don't know how to say it. It's one less than the next interval would be. Does that work for everybody? Because the intervals have to be the same size. All right. Is everybody set up? Except for Logan, who just came back. All right. So now if you're set up, you're ready to tally. And so once again, we go up to this data and help yourself out by just breaking it off into smaller groups. You're going to tally, which means you're going to just focus on reading these in order, not trying to search which one they're in. So I'm going to go to 90 and I'm going to put a tally mark in my first class. I'm going to do 275. 275 would be down here in this class. And then the next one is 220. And I'm just going to keep on going through and tallying up. All right. Okay. Did you finish tallying? Well, you doing okay? All right. So I'm not going to finish my tally. You guys are going to tell me. How many do we have in the first interval?
What?
How many pieces of data in the first interval? So 5. What's next?
8 or 9.
So 8 or 9. What are we going to vote on? What'd you get? 8. 8. Okay. What about the next one? 6. 5. How many? 2. 1. 3. All right. Okay. So you might be like, my tallying didn't match everybody else's tallying. I'm frustrated, yada, yada, yada. So then you could go and use your calculator data. Like you could use your calculator to help you sort the data. You could use your calculator to do this, actually. Okay? And create the bar. It would create the histogram for you, and then you can work backwards to get your heights. Okay? But being able to create a frequency table or distribution, which is the intervals and the frequency, is our goal for today. Are you ready to turn the page and try again? So this is all it is. Turn the page. Here we go. Example number 2. This data represents the ages of the 50 richest people in the world, and this is from Forbes. And I think this is about 2 years ago. These are all billionaires. Construct a frequency distribution with 8 classes. So let's think about it. I want to make a frequency table. The last column is frequency. This is Ms. Rowe. Has not made it yet. Thank you. Bye. Okay. All right, next. Then what's the first thing needs to be? It needs to be our classes. And then because we are not using technology to do all of this, we're going to do a tally chart. Okay? Now you might say, I don't like the tally chart. I'm going to go and do it a different way. We can talk about that. But let's just focus on getting our intervals set up. All right, so folks, we got to figure it out. They told us something important, right? They told us there are going to be 8 classes. That's the most important piece of information for our formula, because to do the width, so here we go. The width is equal to max minus min divided by the number of classes. This is what's going to be on that formula sheet. All right, so we know that this is going to be the number 8. Now we got to scan our data. Who is the oldest billionaire? 88? Nobody in the 90s. Oh, there's a 95? Oh, there was a 95. And then you're like, oh, man, 95. Okay. Our youngest,
31.
31. Who is that guy and what is he doing? Girl. Who knows? Okay, great. Can you guys get me the class width? Show me you can do it on the calculator. Okay, can I steal this back? Thank you. It's going to be online. So, okay, so, well, this is a good one. Yeah. So, friends, it turned out to be exactly 8. Now, here we go. If you were to skip count by 8s, you would not make it to get everybody in. You would miss the last person. So that is why you always round up. So what is our class width going to be? 9. Okay. So important. So here we go. Our youngest person is 31. So we start here and we add 9 to fill in the lower bounds. Oh, that's cool. Okay. Then we subtract from the lower bound of the next class to get the end of the previous class. So 31 to 39. So just notice, right? 39 minus 31 is 8. That's going to mess you up. So always do this method. So now, so the reason why I need the 94 is so this goes to 93, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nope, I need the 94, don't I? Sorry, wrong. It's okay. I know. I forgot that I didn't set up this table that way. So 94. So do we need to actually add on another 9 to get the upper bound? So we have to add on another 9. So that's going to be 103. So the upper bound here is 102. So notice that it's not the maximum, right? It's going to be the same width. So I needed this number just to get that number. All right. So now you're going to tally. Actually, so let's see. You have to tally in frequency. Do you guys need to practice tallying, or are you okay without it? Okay, so now I'm looking. We get out at 10:27. So let's do 2 things, or just talk about something. If you wanted to make this slightly easier using your calculator, could you type the data in and then put it in order? And then I'll eventually also teach you how to make a histogram. Typing in this data is, it's 50 pieces of data. So that's a lot, but it's not difficult. It's just annoying, correct? Just annoying, which is sometimes why tallying is almost a little bit easier. If you're somebody that wants to look for all the numbers in the 30s first and tally up by age group, you can. I find it difficult because these are not like the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, right? And you might even say that this is kind of a weird way to do these classes, right? Why aren't we doing the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s? Well, we can. That's where you're in charge eventually, and you want to make your displays worth looking at, right? So the problem is that we have to teach the minimal way to get your classes with this dividing process, so you have enough your classes are big enough and you have enough classes. So we go this crazy, we're using weird numbers to start so you can get that process down, okay? But in the long run, you're never going to find a graph online that has such a funky axis like this, okay? All right, is that the end of this lesson? Am I right? Oh, look, there's one more, but we'll not worry about that, okay? So we're going to pause here. Are you good with that? Okay, so what we want to do is make sure every single one of you can get to Delta Math.